words right out of my mouth.
I know.
Pause. Where are we going now? Where are we starting with?
Well, I guess the big transfer news.
Well, what is? Ooh.
You want to play your music?
No, we don't have any music for the transfer. Well, we kind of do, because like everyone's kind of. I was trying to find the perfect transfer song, and I was like, oh, I don't know any urban music, any cultured music that has a transfer twist to it. So man, you got nothing. But,
you don't have anything? Okay.
No, I do. People are dueling. So
okay,
like
go.
we've had this in the tuck for so long, we haven't used it, man.
Okay.
This is our new transfer music. Here we are. You're not feeling this. But it's beef.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone's got to get this shit off. You don't want to hear that. Where do you want to go? What?
Oh, Griezmann finally signed on the dotted line.
Yes, he did. Oh man.
That just broke.
What a 24-month period, or like 12.
Yeah.
You know? You just kind of snub them. And then you feel that, you could be the king. And I got a lot to say about this. And it starts tomorrow, by the way. That's just a little hint. Or today when you're listening to this. And I'm going to get my own twist on it.
All right.
But we got to talk about it first, because we're doing the podcast first.
Go ahead. No, I'll let you. Before you go on your... Sorry. Before you go on your...
how do you know it's going to be a little tangent or a little rant?
It always is. And I just sit back here and listen. But before you do, is this the end of Coutinho?
Well, the rumor is that his agent wants him to stay and that he's staying. I saw that. And then now the papers are saying he's going back to Liverpool, and the papers are saying Manchester United are coming in.
I don't give a damn about the agents or the papers.
Oh, you want to know how I feel?
Yeah. The question was to you.
I mean, he had a really rough year, and he really had a difficult time adapting. He's not the first person to struggle to adapt at Barcelona, and it's not a surprise.
No.
I've always stayed consistent on how I feel about him, and he's always consistently proven me right. So do I think he'll improve? I don't think so. Do I think it's something that he has to work on? Yes. I also feel like it's a difficult environment to adjust in if you haven't been brought up in a certain manner either, or worked with a coach so tactically astute, and I don't think he has. Klopp, Brendan Rodgers, whoever else was there during his time at Liverpool, his Inter days, he was very young, and he's been in results, he suffered from that, and his Copa America performances don't give me any reason why he should feature in that midfield, because now you look at the midfield and you have Rakitic, who looks like he's going to stay. You have Busquets, who's still aging but still a better option. You have Artur. I don't know if Arturo Vidal is going to still be there, but he's still there for the time being.
You have De Jong.
And you have De Jong. Yeah, I didn't forget about the little youngster.
Okay.
And yeah, I would choose all of those guys over him. And then you go up front and you have Dembele for now, who I would choose over him. You have Suarez, who even though he's aging and who knows what you're going to get out of him next year if he stays, I would still take him over him. You have Messi, and then Griezmann is better than him.
Yep.
So it's up to Coutinho. It's up to how much Barca are willing to sell him for, and if they're willing to take a bit of a bite, because they may not get the money. They will definitely not get the money.
No, that's what I was going to say. They're not. I don't think they're recovering what they've spent.
No.
So it depends on how much of a hit they wanna take.
But you know what? At the end of the day, I don't even think that really matters. Like they're a club that's clearly shown what they want, and if Coutinho's not part of those plans, and that could help them out financially, and you do it. I hate this whole. Like, oh, well, we got to recoup whatever we got back. Hey, man, it's a business. Sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes you hit it out of the park. Sometimes you make mistakes.
Yep.
This
was a mistake.
Frankly, was a mistake because he wasn't ready to play at that level. He wasn't even Liverpool's best player, and they forced a move that at the time I could understand why they took the gamble based on what they had the season before. And they clearly weren't good enough, but now like I said last week, with what Juve's done, with what Real Madrid has done, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, it's time to go.
Yep.
And I don't think that he is in their best 11. I don't know if he's good enough to be in their best. Well, I would like to hope that he's good enough to be in their best 18.
Oh no, of course, for that for sure.
But I don't know if he's willing to be a great professional and consistently come off the bench.
Do you still? And we talked about this. Do you still see Barca in for Neymar now? Or are they?
They have to.
Are they out of the transfer market?
No, if I'm them, I'm going for it. There's no playing around. Well, before like look. First, I want to end off on Coutinho on a note that I feel like a lot of people don't understand where I'm coming from with him, and it's just that put him in the midfield and he doesn't really offer you much. I don't think he creates. He could score, but a lot of his goals are, though, like I said, highlight reel, YouTube. He's a YouTube player.
Uh-huh.
And he doesn't fit in the system the way they need him to. And then up front, he doesn't give you what you need from him. So it's like, why are you there? And it's like, instead of ruining your name, because I feel like when you go to big clubs, like all these players want to play for a big club. But at the end of the day, your brand is also key too.
Right.
And every passing week, he's ruining his brand. Whereas if he were to move, I guess, back to the Premier League where he could help rebuild that, it doesn't have to be Liverpool. I always said that United would be good. I think any club that he could go to in England that's within that top 6 would be good for him, because I think he would be a star there based on the nature of the league, barring obviously Manchester City.
Right.
I think that obviously if Liverpool wanted him back, he would go and he could fit into that system, but I don't think they need him.
I don't think so either.
Well, actually, they could use him, and they could use him.
Yeah,
but they don't need to go back there.
No, no.
So that's where I stand on that.
Okay,
and then
go finish your
Neymar?
thought. No, I with Neymar, I'm in the same boat as you. Neymar doesn't want to be at PSG, and I think he's made that painfully clear.
Oh, they would go make him so. Rabiot didn't want to be there either.
No,
Doesn't matter.
But those are two different players. The thing is, and we've said this, PSG don't have to sell him. Yeah. And if they do sell him, they're going to sell him and make a profit off of him. And I'll tell you that right now.
Or they're going to let him go for free. PSG, out of all,
they're going to let Neymar go for free.
How long is that contract?
I think he's got another 1 or 2 years left on his contract.
They'll let that contract run down.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, they'll sit him on the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like, if you're saying to me they're going to let him go for free, I thought you meant now they're going to. No.
When contract's done, and then he does what he wants.
Yeah.
I don't think PSG has ever sold any of the high-profile players that they've purchased, regardless of whether they want to leave or not. Didn't Ibra go on a free?
Yes.
Yeah. So there ain't no walking out of there unless the team that wants you pays that money.
Right, but
Barca are gonna have to pay.
Ibra left in a different stage of his career.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like if circumstances were different and he was at the peak of his career, he would probably still have to go on a free.
Oh, absolutely.
That's how they kind of do their business.
It's like Mbappe. Do you think he's leaving?
Yeah, no. They don't get pushed around in that sense.
No.
Like if you are going to get Neymar, you are going to have to pay the top dollar to get him.
Yeah. And you know what? If and I don't think it'll ever come to this, but I would gain more respect for PSG if, let's say, Neymar had 2 years left on his contract and they sat him for 2 years. It would hurt them.
Yeah, it would hurt the game.
Right. But it would be big kudos to a club like that to say we're not getting pushed around by a player. And I would like to see, and it won't happen.
Or Barca, just like Atletico did.
You're right. But I would like to see more clubs do that. And we'll get to the other club, and you talked about brand, and this person is all about brand and stuff like that. But I would like to see United do the same thing with Pogba. I don't like how modern day footballers can hold the clubs at ransom. That's a thing that really bothers me to no end. Listen, see out your contract. Your contract is X amount of years. See it out. Don't push your way out.
But has that ever been the case?
Where what?
Where players actually like obliged by their contract and like saw it out? There's always something that happens. There's always like, what happens is that eventually becomes a soap opera behind the scenes and arguments and disagreements, and then the manager's finally fed up and it's like, no, let him go. I could see that being the route for Neymar too. He's definitely not one to show that he could be an obnoxious little brat.
Oh, yeah.
So if that means stirring up stuff behind the scenes,
But that's what that's
he'll force his move.
but that's what I'm saying.
The-
These are remember those modern day footballers that you hate?
Yeah, I hate the young ones.
Well, these are the young ones.
Neymar kind of grown, but
No.
no, I know.
No,
What,
he's not.
I know what you mean.
No, you're not.
Oh no, but to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
But like, just think of some players in the past. Like, Beckham had a falling out with Sir Alex, but he didn't force. He didn't say, "I'm not playing for Manchester United anymore."
Yeah.
Gigs. Think of just the class. The Zidanes. The when Zidane left Juve, he didn't say, "I want to get out of here." He had those guys.
Well, boy, were they happy for him to leave.
Oh, well, that's another story. But what I'm saying.
No. Different times. Like I said, the coddling, the money that's being made now. There's so much. The player now is bigger than the club.
Yes.
For most of it, as much as people don't want to say that, the player is necessarily bigger than the club. So if the player wants to go, the player's going to go. It's tough. I feel like they're both at fault, and I feel in this situation like Neymar knew what he was getting himself into, but PSG had to look at themselves and be like, okay, well, we know what we're getting ourselves into too. They had to. There's no way that those owners could look at me and tell me that they thought that Neymar was going to stay there for the entirety of his contract, or let alone his entire career.
Oh, you would be silly to think
it was a nice money grab for them.
Correct.
So if they are as wise as I think they are, they will force Barcelona's hand. And in any way, PSG don't really lose. And this is why they don't lose. Because if they force the hand and Barcelona pay, then they get the money.
Right?
And if they don't pay, then they still keep Neymar. Whatever happens after that is totally the risk that they're taking by doing that.
Uh-huh.
But it ensures that Barcelona don't really gain that upper hand on them in terms of the Champions League.
Right.
Barring that Neymar is fit in February. Big
Right.
if.
Right.
So
And we've said this before. PSG do not need Neymar to win the league or the cup or anything in France.
we'll see. That team is kind of they're getting to a point where where you may have to have that conversation in like a year or two.
Yeah,
But no, I know.
But not this year, right? So
you just wait.
young
wait till-
Olympique Lyonnais starts.
You just wait
cranking up.
till Fab and the Monaco boys get back to gear.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I there's a number of little transfer stories that it would be interesting to see what they could do before the transfer window closes. The thing is, and we talked about this a little bit, but the English transfer window closes in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay, but finish you. I know you want to go back to.
There's a lot about that Barca thing that is really important here, and one of it is yes, they need to get Neymar. They need to. I don't think they could go another season with Messi carrying majority of the load. Pause, and then Suarez, who looks like he's past it for a 38-game season, and just Griezmann. I don't think they could do that. And the reason why they need Neymar is because they need the only way it works is if Dembele shows that he could stay fit for an entire season, which is another big if.
Right.
So they would be going into the season with a lot of uncertainty with Suarez's fitness and his ability to play at that level, with Messi a year older, with Griezmann settling, and like I said, not easy to sell into that system, even though he is one of the better players in the world. Mm-hmm. It's not as easy as, throwing him in the lineup on FIFA.
Nope.
It's not that easy.
Nope.
And I also think there are tactical issues with Griezmann and Messi in the same lineup, but I will get into that at some point. And I think that could be interesting as to how they line up. But they need Neymar. There's no question about it. They need him because we've seen this progression where the last 2 years you can make the case that Barcelona possibly could have won the Champions League. But the reason why they didn't win the Champions League is because when push came to shove and when they were winning those league titles, a lot of it was engineered by one guy.
Yep.
And as hard as it is to believe in the Champions League, although you need a lot of luck and the draw has to go your way, you need a competent midfield. Yes, Barcelona did have that more so this season. But when you solely have Messi and especially Messi at this stage of his career, you do need other routes and alternatives to goal. And with Dembele out for large spells of last season, they didn't have that.
That's right.
With Griezmann, you could get that.
Yes.
With Neymar, it definitely helps because now you have two guys that need that extra attention, and you can't solely give Messi all of that attention. And if you do give Messi all of that attention, he is probably the best passer in the world, and he'll find those two other guys.
Yep.
And if you don't give Messi all that attention, give it to the other two guys, then there's more space for Messi to do what Messi does.
And then he'll hurt you.
And that has, and it's funny that we ignore that. And I always say that, and I repeat it week after week, that when he's been at his best, there have always been two guys in front of him. And that's not a knock on him, but that's just kind of how the game works. And if I use it to Ronaldo's aspect on the flip side, is that he always had enough creators around him where you can't leave those creators alone. If you leave those creators alone, they'll create for someone else.
Correct.
But then when you have to go after them at some point, that frees up space for him to be in the box to do what he does and get his matchups and for him to find his matchups. Barcelona, with what Juventus has done, which, like I said, there's a lot of ifs about them too. And you could say the same thing about Real Madrid. There are a lot of ifs about them. But what they've done on paper is kind of leveled up the playing field and showed that, look, like, you got to do something. And that's how they're responding to this. So I understand why they're trying to get Neymar. And I feel like Neymar and Griezmann, as much as Barcelona need them, those two guys need Barcelona. And I think they know that. And that's the greatest thing about this, is that because Messi and Ronaldo have been so great, you look at the other players that were supposed to be the next guys, the Eden Hazards who moved to Real Madrid. No, Juve can't afford the other guys. That could be those guys. But you look at Hazard, you look at Griezmann, where it was supposed to be his time. You look at Neymar, where he was supposed to leave and be that guy. You look at Paul Pogba, who's trying to enter near a move because he's supposed to be that guy. But realize that they are not at the level of those two. And as long as those two are around, they can't be the main guys alone and get the job done.
Yep.
So if you can't beat them, you join them. And Hazard joined a big club because although he's the best player in the Premier League, it ain't working for him. And Pogba wants to do the same thing because although he could be whatever people think he can be, he knows he can't do it with those scrubs.
Yep.
Neymar found it out, even though he decides to take off the final third of the season. And Griezmann learned the hard way last season.
Yep.
So that is why, as much as Barcelona need them, they need Barcelona. And they understand that they are positioning themselves, if they make the move, in a position to be favorites to win La Liga. Because if it's Griezmann, Neymar, Messi, potentially Suarez, Dembele, that midfield, they are the best. They're the team to beat in La Liga.
Agreed.
And if those two join Messi at Barcelona, they are undoubtedly the favorite to win the Champions League. And that's just how they are the favorite. You can't have those two, that midfield. I don't care about who's in the back.
No.
Because it don't really matter.
No.
It don't really matter. They're the favorites to win the Champions League. So that is how I feel. And the Griezmann move is so interesting because, like I said last week, now it's time. Show me what you are. But has Griezmann ever really showed you anything, barring that 2016 Euro run?
No. No.
Because I'm really trying to find like a Griezmann moment or a patch longer than perhaps 4 to 6 weeks where Antoine Griezmann has showed us that he's that guy. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with not being that guy.
No.
There's nothing, like, I feel like sometimes we do put a lot of emphasis on not being able to deliver. And I only do that because the hype around you and the fact that there's a sense of arrogance to him. The dances, the brand,
right.
the documentary, like, know who you are. And I feel like this move is kind of like, oh, well, it's coming down to earth, realizing that I can't do it myself. And he should know that.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but there's nothing wrong with that. But it's been displayed to us.
Right.
At France, where Mbappe took over that throne.
Yeah.
At Atletico, where partially the coaching, but even himself in games where they're playing inferior opposition, he can't take them over.
Right.
So I look at all that, and it's like now you're in a position where you're playing at the best club you ever played for.
Yes.
Now, if there was ever a time, especially with Messi fizzling out, if there's ever a time for you to fit in, for you to deliver on a big stage, on a week-to-week basis where all the eyes are going to be on you, because if it don't work out in those first 6 months, you're going to get the Coutinho treatment.
Oh, yeah.
So if there was ever a time for you to do that, it's now.
Yeah, but you know what? For some reason, I feel he will have a better year than Eden will at Madrid.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
Any reason why? Dive in.
I think even though Eden may be surrounded by some great talent at Madrid, I think that first year of transitioning from the Premier League to La Liga, I think it's going to take Eden a little bit of time to get himself acclimatized to the Spanish league.
Oh, we don't have time.
That's his problem. And if you want to talk about Griezmann getting the Coutinho treatment, don't think those Madrid fans are going to give Eden a long time to acclimatize himself either. If he's not playing up to what they believe is the standard of play that they expect from him, he's going to get the whistles. He's going to get the jeers. Where I think Griezmann has a little bit more of an opportunity is that he's already accustomed to the league, and he will seamlessly fit into Barcelona a little bit easier than Madrid. Than Hazard is going to be at Madrid. Granted, Hazard's been training with Madrid for a while now. They're actually, I didn't even know this, but did you know that Madrid is in Montreal?
Yeah.
So they're doing some training in Montreal. Hazard is there. He's been with the squad for a while now. Kudos to him that he has been with the squad, because I'm sure on the back of his mind, he wants to hit the ground running with Madrid as well. So it will be interesting to see how those two make out this year, but I just think that Griezmann will just edge out Hazard at the end of the season in terms of productivity on field. How they do in terms of cups and whatnot,
that's not in his hat. Well, you could make the case that it is, but that's a bold statement.
Yeah,
I remember this.
Yeah,
I totally think otherwise.
Yeah, I know you do.
I will definitely take the better player in an environment where, yes, it's as hostile. But I think under Zidane, that's the one thing where I trust Zidane in that sense. This is a bad question to ask, but who's Barca's coach this season?
Same coach.
It's still Valverde's still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I just have to make sure.
Yeah.
Because I thought he was going to leave.
Well, we all thought he was going to leave, but he's still there.
Good for him.
Yeah.
We'll see how long that lasts. Yeah, man, I take the better player, and I feel like, I don't know, every player that's kind of has made the switch over, that's been the best player, has done fine. So I'm going to go with history. And I think the only thing that could kill Hazard is how we judge him. Because I think that's always been, and that's his fault, but I think that how we judge him will determine what people think. Because if we're just judging him solely on goals, like I said, until he hits 20, I'm never going to believe that he's going to score 20.
Right.
But I also think that around better players, what he does offer on the field definitely outweighs whatever Griezmann showed me. So that's why I said Griezmann has to show me a lot more.
Okay.
But I also think that will lead to more productivity as a whole for Real Madrid, opposed to the bums that he was playing with in West London last season.
Oh, that's for sure. I'm not going to argue with you there.
So I can understand your point on the whole league factor, but that guy has to show me that he could do it, not Hazard. We know what Eden could do, and
right.
We know what he is, and we know what his limitations are.
Correct.
Perhaps at Madrid, maybe under Zidane, because Zidane did kind of shift the Ronaldo thing. Well, Ronaldo's great, but he did kind of shift it to a different level.
Yeah,
and helped him in a transitional period. Perhaps, and I don't give Zidane enough credit, but perhaps he could do that with Eden. I'm not saying he's going to. Perhaps he can. We'll learn real quick.
Yep.
Griezmann now not playing in a counter-attacking system because he's been forced to do that for France and for Atletico.
Yep.
Now has an opportunity to play in a free-flowing system. So, like I said, the eyes are on him. The eyes are on Hazard.
Yes.
I think the eyes are on them equally. So I can't even say that. But it is more on him to deliver, because he hasn't really done it at that level or consistently where Eden has. Like anyone who's watched the Premier League could clearly tell you what he's all about, but we don't really know what Griezmann is all about. I know we know his playing style. We know his celebrations.
Yes.
But I think that's all about it.
We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out about them both. To be honest,
we don't know what he's made out of. What he's built. Well, how much he could take. Can he be that guy on that stage? And at this point, if you're going to that club, and given their past, what's the word I'm looking for? Failures. There we go. The past failures in Europe specifically. Hey man, they brought you there for a reason. He knows that. Everyone knows why he's brought in. And the same thing's going to apply to Neymar, but Neymar's done it.
Yep.
So that's why the pressure will be lesser on him because he's done it with them already. And they haven't won since he left. So we'll see. But that's kind of how I look at that whole transfer situation as a whole, is that because of what Real and Juve did, they had to go out and get Griezmann. And it helped that what happened to Atletico last season made him realize that he made a mistake. And now he's here. So hopefully he stays healthy. And hopefully he proves to me that he is that guy. And proves to us. Because I know he's got a little gang out there that likes to celebrate because he scores penalties and, gets little tap-ins and doesn't control games or dominate games or affect them the way that he should. But now he can't hide behind Atletico Madrid because not a lot of people do watch Atletico Madrid on a weekly basis.
But a lot of people are going to watch Barca.
They'll check live score or they'll check their little score app or whatever mobile device they have that shows them the score, and they'll see that Griezmann scored. Oh, another Griezmann goal. But they don't watch the full performances. But you can't hide at the Camp Nou.
Nope.
There are too many seats over there.
Nope.